Good morning or afternoon, whenever you get to watch. Welcome back. Today we're talking about perspective. Perspective changes everything. Today we're looking at the story of Moses and how he brought God's children out of Egyptian bondage. You know, they witnessed a lot of miracles. They witnessed God doing a lot of things for them to free them. And one of the big things was, here they get to the Red Sea and they got nowhere to go. And the Egyptian army is fast approaching. They're coming after them. And, God parts the Red Sea and they're able to walk across it on dry land. They didn't have to step through mud puddles. They didn't have to get their feet all muddy and muddy shoes and slow them down. They walked on dry ground. That's pretty amazing. So after all they've seen and all the things that they've witnessed God do, now we're going to fast forward to Numbers chapters 13 and 14, where now it's time for them they're at the promised land. And so now God has asked Moses to send in men into the land to spy out the land, to search it out, to see what it's all about. And so in Numbers 13, 17 through 21, and it says, "And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, Get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain, and see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many, and what the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, and what cities they be that dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds, and what the land is, and whether it be fat or lean, whether there be good therein or not. And be of good courage, and bring up the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time for the first ripe grapes." So they went in, they searched the land, and let's see, it said that they searched the land for 40 days. They were there 40 days gathering all this intel, seeing what all there is to see. And they were to come back and report what they found. Keep in mind, God has already promised them this land. And so now they've gone in to search it and to see what it's all about. So then in Numbers, in the same chapter in 13, then in verses 26 through 29, the spies return. They come back after these 40 days of looking and checking it all out. And they went in and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel into the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all of the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told them and said, We came into the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. So they even brought back examples of the fruit that was there. They came back and they talk about this land that's flowing with milk and honey. And when the Bible speaks of milk and honey, it's figuratively used as a sign of abundance and blessing. So there was more there. There was more than enough there for them to have and to sustain themselves and to have blessing. And God has given them this land. And then you go down to verse 28, right after they've just talked about this land flowing with milk and honey, this abundance and blessing. And in verses 28 through 30, it says, "Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell on the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell on the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, by the coast of Jordan." I mean, they got good intel. They know where everybody lives. But now they're talking about they're very strong. They're, then in verse 30, it says, and Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. And then in verse 31, it says, but the men that went up with them said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying that the land that we have gone to search it, in the land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw there are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the son of Anak, which came from the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we are in their sight. So Caleb's ready to go. He was a part of this group, and he's ready to go. This is an amazing place. This is something God has provided us. He's given to us. We haven't even had to do anything for it. And the rest of them are saying, yeah, it's a great place, but there are giants, and we look like grasshoppers. We can't do this. And so they ignite fear into the rest of the people. And now nobody wants to go. No. And they say, we look like grasshoppers. Well, that's kind of the point. It's kind of the point that you're going to do this not by your might. This is God doing this. And so they're afraid because of the giants that are there. And the thing is, God has already given this to them. And all they see are the giants. In verse 30, Caleb was trying to calm them. He was ready to go. He was all about it. And then as we flip over to chapter 14, 6 through 9, it says, and Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes, and they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is exceeding good land. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into the land and give it to us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. So Caleb and Joshua are the only two that came back with a good report, and they're ready to go. And they're begging these people, don't rebel against God right now. He has provided this for us. And, we've talked about fear before. And you see here where fear just took over. Whereas they all saw the giants, Caleb and Joshua saw God. It was a whole difference in perspective. There was only two men out of that group that saw something different. They saw the same things, but they got out of it two different things. Where one group says, giants, no, we're not doing it. And the other two said, guys, we've got this. Yeah, God's got this. This has been given to us. Don't do this. They wanted, Joshua and Caleb trusted God, and they had faith and trust in the God that they serve. A lot of times in our own lives, we lose perspective and we begin to doubt, or we're afraid, or we think our way's better. I remember when the boys played football, there was a game that they played, and they were going to play against their main rivals. They had never won against this team, ever. And it drove us all crazy. So they knew what they needed to do to prepare for this game. They played this game many times before, and our boys showed up and showed out. They, Kyle, they went into this game undefeated. and they didn't want to lose this one either. And this was a big one. And normally, Kyle was the go-to. You get him the ball, he's gone. He's gonna break loose, and nobody can catch him. That's just a little fast, speedy thing. So this particular year, since they were undefeated, teams were seeing our game film, and they learned that Kyle didn't need to get the ball. So teams began double and triple teaming him. So now that they've taken Kyle out of it, that opened up a lot of time for Justin and some of the other boys to get the ball. And they had just as much talent as Kyle did. Kyle wasn't the only player on the team, and that they thought. And so it took everybody by surprise because we had more weapons than Kyle. And so Justin and the others were allowed to shine. So when we go into this game, this team was no different. They had studied our film. But this time was different because they start double and triple teaming Justin and some of the other boys, which leaves Kyle wide open. You can't leave that kid wide open. He's gone. He's wide open. But they did. And I don't know how many times Kyle scored that night. I'm sure he could tell you. Just saying. There was at one point during the game and during a timeout that the coach was talking to Justin, and he was saying, "Look, I'm still trying to get you the ball. We're having to do things different, and I really want to get you the ball." And Justin said, "Coach, don't." He said, "They're double and triple teaming me. That's opening up Kyle. That's opening up some other players, and we're winning this thing. So don't change that. If let them double and triple team me. I don't care, because it's still opening them up, and we're winning this thing." And so sometimes in a game, coaches and players have different perspectives. A coach may see something during the game that he needs to make adjustments to. He sees something, and so he's going to make those adjustments. But then there's sometimes the player may see things from a different perspective because he's on the field and he's seeing it and he knows what's happening in his, spot on the field. And so in that particular game, both perspectives had to work together, and they ended up winning that game. Nobody wanted to move. Everybody in the stands, nobody wanted to move because we couldn't believe what we were seeing. So, as I was studying this week on perspective and seeing how things are interpreted or the way things look, I came across something, and it said that perspective changes according to how close or how far we are to the situation. If we're too close, the situation can look larger than life. If we're too far away, we can overlook details. That is so true. Isaiah 55:8 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." We need God's perspective. We go through so many different things in our life, and a lot of times we get that tunnel vision, and all we can see is the problem. We don't see the solution, and we get overwhelmed, and we're missing all of the things around. We're not even thinking about what is God's perspective on this. What is God doing in this? And that's how we end up. We kind of lose our way. We see friends or loved ones going through a particular hard time, something's up, something's going on. They're in the middle of that situation, and a lot of times they can't see what's going on. but they have a team of prayer warriors around them, and we're praying for them, and we're going to the Father on their behalf, and we're doing the things that we can to help them through those situations. And the same is for our situations. When we're going through things and we're dealing with things, or hard things happen, we tend to focus more on what's going on at that time. And we don't take the time to sit and think a minute. There's other things going on around me. I've got prayer warriors around me. I've got people going to the Father for me in this situation. I'm not by myself. I'm not alone. So instead of us seeing our situations, our problems, whatever we're going through, seeing those giants, and that's all we see, instead of us seeing our giants, we need to see God. And it's hard to do. It's because we get so caught up, we get so twisted and turned, and our lives sometimes just get turned upside down. And it's in those times we need to take that step back and just ask God, what are you trying to teach me in this? What are you trying to show me in this? Help me to see your perspective. Help me to see what you see in this. So I hope that you have enjoyed this lesson. I enjoyed looking at it because it just reminded me of us, of the things that we go through. And instead of seeing the giants, we need to see God. I thank you for being here today. I thank you for sticking it out with me. I know it's kind of long, but I do appreciate you guys, and y'all are awesome. I appreciate y'all more than you know. And I hope y'all have a great day. See you next time.